This is a video from TFTC with speaking of the cold card, the creator of the cold card, or the company that creates the cold cards, NVK. I'm going to put this on the screen. It's about 3 minutes long. And he's talking about AI. And he's talking about how it's going to impact us and kind of our jobs going forward. So it's going to tie perfectly into the main theme of today. And I'm going to bring it up here. Nope, I can't do that. I have to do it the other way, I think. Just got to make sure. I hate sharing videos and there's no sound and then you just waste 2 minutes. Okay, so share audio. Put this full screen. And let's see what NVK has to say.
No, I saw a screenshot of somebody writing like a React program in I think it was like XPD or something like that, an airline chatbot. Like, oh, write me a React app. Yeah, no, it's fascinating. Like you mentioned, like 2 to 3 years, this will all be normalized. Like, how drastically do you think this changes the landscape of startups, businesses in general, the economy?
I mean, the bullish case is that we lose 50% of the workforce, right? So all the managerial like the people who are sandwiched inside a company, right? Especially big companies, they might go, right? Because you're not going to need 50 layers of like manager analyst types, right? Because one, a lot of the positions below them won't need to exist. They won't need to exist. You know, because right now, think about it this way, right? So like Tim Cook wakes up in the morning and he goes, you know, and you know, he gets the beautiful report, I'm sure, you know, with all the sales, with this crazy breakdowns, this crazy, beautiful correlations of things. And then, you know, in 3 years from now, he's going to wake up and he's going to just ask a question and the thing is going to answer, you know? So whatever sort of like ideas he has, which is really the value, right? That's the human value, is the creativity of the question. The answering of the question it's an implementation problem. So it's an engineering concern. So, you know, we can resolve those with technology and engineering. We can't resolve the human creativity and sort of completely randomness of thought, you know, through engineering. So positions that ask questions, you know, the people who come up with great questions are going to be paid very well. And the people who work through the grind through Excel to come up with answers are going to not have a job. That's sort of like, I think that at least my framework on how to see the near future. And it's going to be gradual, right? Because even though the technology may already be there, adoption is still gradual. So, but I think we're going to be looking at a very different landscape in 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, do you think it leads to digital serfdom, or is it an event that sparks the blooming of 10,000 roses?
I know it's kind of like, it's all over the place, right? Because you have the centralized improvements in AI, you have the new startups in AI, you have, you know, the open source AI, like it's kind of like coming from all places. Because it's so young, there is a lot of innovation to be had that is like ginormous. And my theory is that all these large companies release their models open source when they hit a wall. Every time they hit a wall, they go like, fuck it, you know, release open source, let the crazy kids sort of improve it, and then we essentially acquire them for hundreds of millions of dollars, and then we improve again, and the cycle continues.
Yeah, it feels like ChatGPT is hitting a wall.
Okay, very interesting stuff there. A couple things to note. So he basically said that AI in 2 to 3 years, this isn't 10 or 20 years. He says that AI in 2 or 3 years will cut out half of the workforce. It already has cut out a bunch. But he said that anybody who's in the middle managers, anybody who's providing reports to the owners of the company, they're going to be irrelevant, because for the most part, the people who work under them are also going to be irrelevant. And he said that the people, you're going to be able to find any sort of information that you want. You're going to be able to take a shitload of data and convert it into a nice little paragraph summarizing that info, and think about the amount of people that's going to come out of every business in the world. 2 to 3 years, that's going to happen. So if you are somebody who is doing spreadsheets, writing reports, not for your boss but for your clients as well. And he talks about accounting and this stuff and what he thinks is going to happen with accountants. And believe it or not, when I left the public accounting industry in 2021, I worked there for just about 10 years. And when I discovered Bitcoin, I knew that not only did I need to be spending all of my time figuring out this thing and building stuff in Bitcoin, that my job as it is today probably won't be around in, I thought 10 years, but he thinks 2 or 3 years, those are going to be completely cut out. So I would recommend watching this episode. It's about 2 hours long, but very informative stuff. And take this stuff seriously, because NVK is a person who is building here. This isn't his opinion. He's seeing it every single day. He built his own AI platform. It's called chat.unleashed or unleashed.chat, one of the two. But it accepts Bitcoin for the AI doing jobs. So this isn't his opinion. This is his experience with it and what he already sees can be done with this stuff. And logically thinking through things, you can see what's going to happen here. And I know that is very scary for a lot of people, especially if you're somebody out there who is in that type of a position, because you're still going to have to put food on your table. And during that transition, that's where things are going to get really nasty for a lot of people. And so kind of going back to that quote that we had up here a little while ago from Eric, it says, I'm realizing more and more at how absolutely unhinged everything is going to get, and how childish most people are in believing that someone will come to save them. And when there is no one and things are worse than they could ever imagine, that is when reality will sink in. And so today's show is titled All Aboard the Bitcoin Lifeboat. And we talked about the Titanic analogy yesterday on the show, of how you see the iceberg coming. You're watching this show today, so you know that something's wrong in our current system. And so you grab a lifeboat. As you're paddling away, your friends, your acquaintances, your coworkers, they're all yelling at you like you're an idiot. Come back to the Titanic. Everybody is partying. Everybody's dancing. Everything's good on here. Why are you floating out into the middle of the ocean? And so that, I think that that's a good analogy in terms of, you have to ignore the people yelling at you. You see the Titanic coming. And so I want to take this one step further. And there was a comment here in the chat about the Ark, Noah's Ark. And I think that that's actually a much more, a better analogy than the Titanic is.